Do you ever wonder what separates struggling managers from confident, respected leaders? After 12 years in management, I've discovered 3 powerful secrets that make all the difference. The managers that use these simple secrets not only become confident leaders, but they have their team's full respect. In this video, I'm going to show you how you can immediately apply these 3 secrets to your work to become a confident and respected manager. So, how do you do that? Secret number 1. This first secret is going to help you master one of the most important skills you need to possess as a manager. Without it, you'll be stuck playing catch up, wondering why your team isn't delivering. But first, you need to know this skill so that you can use this secret. So what is the skill? Without this skill, your team is doomed to be a plastic bag drifting through the wind. It's simply to keep people motivated. As a manager, your job is to keep people going and always reaching for the next goal. So how do you do that? Well, imagine if you were a football player playing a game of football. And I mean football, not soccer. I don't care what the rest of the world says. This is America. But in this game, there was an added twist. No one was keeping track of the clock, the quarters, or even the score. Now, it might be fun for a little bit when you first get going, but getting hit by giant men would probably start to suck. If there's no point to the game, then after a while you would just lose motivation and stop trying or stop playing altogether. However, if you added the score and time back in, and then all of a sudden there was 5 minutes left and it was a tie game, you're probably going to try your absolute hardest to win the game because you now have a goal and see what's at stake. This is no different from motivating your employees at work. You can't expect them to play an endless game with no end goal in sight. You need to set them up with tangible goals so they know why they're working. However, just like the game that's on the line is a fun experience, you need to make work fun by making results just points on a scoreboard. So how do you do that? Secret number 1. Make work fun by gamifying the results you're looking for. You can do this one of 2 ways. You can take some time to think, how can I make this more fun? Or you can just cheat and use AI. All you need to do is tell ChatGPT what the task is, and then tell it you're trying to gamify this task and you need suggestions on how to make it more fun. From there, it will spit out a bunch of ideas that you can try. The only downside to this method is that this will only work if you are using our second powerful secret. Secret number 2. The next secret is such a crucial part to being a successful manager. Without this skill, people simply will not listen to you as a manager. With my secret though, you're gonna feel more confident and capable because your whole team will be attentive to your every word. So what is the skill? To be an effective manager, you need to have authority. Having authority means that your team trusts your leadership and sees you as someone with a reputation as a competent manager. Being in control is less about being bossy and more about being respected by your team. So how do you do that? Well, imagine if the football team you're playing for from earlier has a coach, as most football teams do. Damn, I just realized I should have used a soccer analogy because their coaches are called managers. My British audience is laughing at me right now. So let's say this coach of your team was great at keeping you focused on what the goal of the game was and keeping you engaged. But there was one big problem. He didn't know the playbook for your team. It doesn't matter how good he was at keeping you focused, it's gonna be hard to respect a coach who doesn't know one of the most important things that a coach should know. As a coach, you should know your team's assignments and how everything works, because that's who everyone looks to when things start to go wrong. This is no different from being a manager. You need to be the one who understands all aspects of your job. So how do you do that? Secret number 2. As a manager, you need to do your homework. You need to put in the time required to not only learn how your workplace works, but also how to create a path for you and your team moving forward. I know what you're thinking. That sounds like a lot of work. There's so many books to read and so many things to learn. Well, a great start would be to subscribe to this channel. I may not be able to teach you specifically about your job, but I can at least help you with everything else. Just simply take small steps every day towards being a better manager. After consistent steps over time, one day you'll lift your head and you'll see how far you've come. You've got this. I believe in you. Now that you know how to build authority as a manager, you're gonna need to know the last secret, as motivation and authority revolve around this final secret. Secret number 3. This final skill and secret are easily the most important of them all. Without this, everything else I've shown you just won't work. Using this secret in tandem with the first 2 is what launched me into the upper tier of management in my company. and it will do the same for you. So what is the vital skill that you need to know? Well, let's go back to our buddy Bill the football coach. Yeah, I named the football coach Bill. I'm definitely not drawing comparisons to an overrated football coach. So Coach Bill learned the playbook this time, and he really knew how his team worked. However, there was still one massive problem. Coach Bill doesn't know how to call plays. He can keep the team motivated, he knows what everyone is supposed to do, but he doesn't know how to use his voice to direct his team. That's a pretty big problem, right? The team is going to be lost when he's awkwardly trying to explain the plays or mumbling to his assistant coaches what the game plan is. Bill probably won't make it long as a football coach. As a manager, it's the same thing for you and your team. You need to be able to communicate effectively, and you have to keep your team accountable to what you need. So how do we do this? You need to establish a communication system. If you are one of the many that have already downloaded my free new manager playbook that's in my description, you've already started doing this. Look at you guys being ahead of the game. I'm so proud of you. Having a communication system like Slack, email, or Discord is so important because it allows for you to organize your messages and not have any sort of confusion. It also allows for you to utilize my final secret. Secret number 3. As a manager, you need to keep receipts. While I still trust my team in a lot of areas, it's so important that when communicating important information, you need to get it in writing. This allows you to fall back on this information so that you can keep your team accountable. My team always jokes that they will never try to get out of things that I've already asked of them because they know I always keep the receipts of their quest. Unfortunately, in the workplace, there's always going to be those employees that try to lie and say,
I never knew that.
But if you have an email or a message of them agreeing to do the thing, it allows for you to hold their feet to the fire. However, you're not going to be primarily communicating through electronic programs. So it's still important that you learn how to actually speak to people in person. That way you can get across your game plan. So what do you do to speak more clearly to your team? Well, this can be a hard skill to learn without the right tools. Most managers never even know what tools to use, so they don't get their teams bought in regardless of how great the game plan is. But the managers that learn the secret to communication get their teams bought in and earn respect immediately. So how do we do that? Well, in this video here, I'll break down the secret that you can use to get your team listening to you by sounding a little more presidential.